This is Comic Geek Speak episode 1728, the CGS Best of 2018 Awards Results Show and Previews. I'm Adam Murdo.
I'm Ian Levinstein.
And I'm Chris Everly. Woo! Oh, Ian, that was epic. Woo!
Woohoo! Doing it the long way. All right. Here we are again, gentlemen.
Drama, build the suspense.
Yeah, drum roll, please. Which is accurate, considering what we're announcing.
That's right. Got some exciting doings on tonight's episode, because not only are we bringing you here on the invisible red carpet of the CGS Best of 2018 Awards, the results of the listener voting for all 16 awards to be presented to no one tonight. But we're also going to do one of our usual monthly previews episodes in which we collectively go through the monthly Diamond Distribution previews catalog, going through all of the offerings that will be reaching stores primarily in, I guess, May of 2019.
Yes.
Yep.
And just talking among ourselves about what is going to be interesting us when those items come to the point of purchase. So first the glamour, and then the then the consumerism, I guess.
Excellent.
All right. And of course, every time there's a previews episode, we have to begin by paying proper homage to our sponsor for such episodes, and that is our friends at Discount Comic Book Service. Go to their website at dcbservice.com to find out how they can help you to meet all of your online comic book pre-ordering needs. They are well known for their deep discounts. Every DC, Marvel, and I believe now DC and Marvel hardcover and trade paperback is 50% off when new. Every single issue DC, Marvel, Image, and Dark Horse comic is automatically 40% off, with deeper discounts of 50 or as much as 75% off in special circumstances. We'll be spotlighting a few of the 50% off discounts for this month as we go through the previews portion of this episode. DCBS also offers bundles in which you have kind of a prefix option, if you will, to purchase all of a certain set of comics, like all of the Vertigo offerings of a given month, all of the Marvel, the DC Kids comics, all the Wonder comics. There's a couple of different Marvel options, what they call the Fresh Start and Legacy bundles. Buy this collection of comics for 50% off the cover price of all the comics included in said bundles. So that's another service they offer. They also have exemplary comic customer service. They offer you options of how often you want your comics shipped to you, whether weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. You can, for a few cents extra, you can have your comics bagged and boarded. They take care of you in a number of different ways at DCBS. So go to dcbservice.com to preview this excellent service with which we at CGS are very familiar and on which we have all come to depend over the years.
Hear, hear.
I enjoy your pronunciation of price fix.
Yeah, I know it's unusual for me to voluntarily pronounce French correctly, but I'm in a good mood tonight.
Yeah. Excellent. We'll bring on the creme fraiche and the awards.
Creme fraiche. All right. Okay. So, the Comic Geek Speak Best of 2018 Awards. I'd like to begin by giving deep personal thanks, both on behalf of myself and my colleagues here, to all of you out there in our listenership who have participated in the nomination and voting processes that have brought us to this point tonight. We have all contributed our own nominees for each of the 16 categories, and you, the listeners, also spoke up and emailed in your nominations, and that resulted in the ballots. And then everybody came in for another wave of listener participation, and we had a pretty good turnout this year for listener voting for the final recipients of these 16 awards. And I thank all of you out there for playing along with us here as we do this. It's always great fun to find out what not only all of us here on the show are reading. Sometimes we surprise each other with our own choices, but also to learn what you out there in CGS land have been reading. It's a great way for all of us to kind of exchange reading suggestions.
Definitely. And
in the end, to pay homage to those things that we thought were most deserving of our reading time and money at the end of the year. So, are we ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
I always enjoy it when the listeners have the same mind, and then we wind up getting the alternates in there as well, because that's a nice touch.
Yep. Happens all the time. And the more, the broader and more balanced a ballot, the better.
Yep. Definitely.
And, as one side note before I begin here, for the first time, at least since I've been acting as PricewaterhouseCoopers and tabulating the results here, we have no ties.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this for at least 10 years. I'm sure there might have been one other year in that time when we haven't had any two- or three-way ties for any of these awards. But this year, there are none whatsoever. Just 16 clear winners, which does make my job a little bit easier. All right. Okay, so I don't have any actual envelopes to open here, which also makes things a little bit easier, so I don't have to fumble with scissors or anything. But here we go. The first award of the evening. Best New Hero or Team of Heroic Characters to debut in the year 2018. The nominees are Dragonfly and Dragonfly Man of The Wrong Earth from Ahoy Comics by Tom Pyre and Jamal Igle, Inspector Insector from Jeff Lemire's Black Hammer, Pamela Evans, the protagonist of Joe Casey's MCN LXXV miniseries, Snowguard from Marvel's The Champions, created by Jim Zub, and another Jeff Lemire innovation from DC, The Terrifics, DC's analog of the Fantastic Four. And the winner in this category is The Terrifics.
Nice.
Listeners looking after their own in that category. That was the listeners' choice in the nominations process, and it remains so after the voting.
A terrific decision.
Oh, God.
But yes, indeed. Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Plastic Man, and a version of Phantom Girl, having adventures throughout the DC, being Imaginauts, much as Marvel's Fantastic Four tends to. And it's a series that has brought Alan Moore's Tom Strong back to relevance in the DC universe, so it's kind of glad to have the series around for that, if nothing else. Either of you guys followed the Terrifics?
I have not.
I haven't, but I'm looking forward to reading it in trade. I'm hopefully going to be picking it up soon, one way or the other.
Yeah, I picked up the first couple of arcs. It's better than a Fantastic Four knockoff has a right to be. I'll say that.
Good.
I was confident from the yeah. I thought that I had confidence that Jeff Lemire wasn't just going to allow this to be a bad joke, and it is definitely more than that. I'll give the series credit for that. So the Terrifics are our listenership's choice for Best New Hero or Team of 2018. Next up, we have Best New Villain or Team to be introduced in 2018. The nominees there are The Citizen from Julie Benson and Shauna Benson's Green Arrow, The Griever at the End of All Things from Dan Slott's new Fantastic Four series, Prince Namor of Atlantis, and The Red Cloud from Brian Michael Bendis' Superman comics. And the winner is The Red Cloud.
Oh.
Aha.
Once again, the listeners looking after their own nominee there. The Red Cloud is kind of a cool mystery character that Bendis has been playing with. The readers were kept in suspense for some time as to which supporting or background character in Superman's world would turn out to be the Red Cloud. And the answer has been revealed, and I don't remember what it is. And it's just as well because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But the new member of Superman's Rogues Gallery has in the 80th anniversary year of Superman, becomes the winner of the Best of 2018 award for Best New Villain.
Nicely done.
All right, on to Best New Ongoing Comic to have its first issue published in 2018. The nominees, Bitter Root, Black Badge, the Green Lantern, Hawkman, and the Immortal Hulk. And the winner, the Immortal Hulk.
As it should be.
Yes, that was a landslide. The Immortal Hulk got twice as many votes as its nearest competition.
It smashed all onlookers.
Ian, let me tell you, you were on fire tonight with these.
I'm a little envious, actually.
Outbursts, man.
Man, when I'm on a roll, there ain't no stopping me.
But joking aside, my friend, I can't thank you enough for that recommendation. I'm salivating, waiting for Marvel to drop more Immortal Hulk issues onto the Unlimited.
They just released a new one, actually.
Oh, they did?
Yep.
Oh, I'll read it tomorrow.
Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you for telling me.
You're welcome.
Yes, I thank you too, Ian. That's going to be one thing that's on my shopping list for the Emerald City conventions.
Excellent.
Yep. So both you nominated it, and if you hadn't, the listeners would have done it for you. But apparently word has gotten around that this series has got the goods. And somehow Chris and I missed the memo, but we will make up for that in the near future.
Indeed.
Now, Best Limited Series, the final issue of which shall have shipped in 2018. The nominees are Dr. Star and the Kingdom of Lost Tomorrows, from the world of Jeff Lemire's Black Hammer, Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerrits, Gail Simone and Adriana Mello's Plastic Man at DC Comics, and the Marvel event Spider-Geddon. And the winner, again by a landslide, far outstripping its nearest competition, Mr. Miracle.
Nice.
Yes, which received an awful lot of love from the listeners last year. It wasn't eligible for Best Limited Series then, but it did get Best Sleeper Surprise Hit, I think. And it does raise the bar quite a bit for what can be done. There's just in a 12-issue maxi series and in comics in general. So I'm glad that the listeners gave it one more nod here. They're the last opportunity to do so.
Boy, that Tom King sure is an up-and-comer.
Surprised he didn't get nominated for Breakthrough Talent again this year. Would have been, the 6th year in a row?
I think so.
But yes, anyway. But Chris, you'll be happy to know that the runner-up was Dr. Star.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right. Now moving on to Best Single Issue or One-Shot. Could be a single issue of an ongoing series. Could be a self-contained issue. The nominees are Action Comics number 1000, Doctor Strange number 9, Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 1, and the Swamp Thing Winter Special. And the winner, again by an impressive margin, Action Comics number 1000.
Woohoo!
Milestone issue that was, and a cornucopia of comics creative talent.
Very much so.
So, yes, the listeners, that there weren't very many close races this year. The listeners knew what they liked, and they voted for it vocally. All right. Best cliffhanger or moment in a comic in 2018. The nominees, Ben Grimm's Wedding to Alicia Masters, The Black Barn Opens, from Jeff Lemire's Gideon Falls number 5, Nightwing Shot by the KG Beast in Tom King's Batman, and Saga number 54, in which an important character dies. And the winner of the award is The Marriage of Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters.
Yay!
Yep, that was Ian's pick.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't expecting that to win, so now I can. I was holding my breath and I can let it out.
Yeah. You picked at least one winner, Ian, which is, I think, more than I can say for myself.
I must admit, I'm surprised Saga didn't take that one. Wow.
I was thinking it was going to go that way. Yeah, I guess maybe there's enough people that haven't actually read it yet in trade.
Or maybe people are just tired of death and mayhem in comics and wanted something nice and life-affirming.
Good point.
True.
Yeah.
Besides, this has been brewing for nearly 50 years in the comics. It's just not, and it's nice to have a comic book wedding in 2018 that actually happened,
Yeah, good point.
So there we go. Congratulations to Ben and Alicia. Then next we have Best Storyline in comics, best which could be an arc within a single comic or a crossover story going across several comics. The nominees there are the first arc of the new Hawkman series, Awakening, the storyline behind Batman's engagement and abortive betrothal to Catwoman, Black Hammer, Age of Doom, The Cold Days story from Batman immediately following said abortive matrimony to Catwoman by Tom King and Lee Weeks. The Fracture story from Lazarus. And the first arc of Mark Waid's new Doctor Strange series, Sorcerer Supreme of the Galaxy. This is probably the tightest race in the entire awards this time around. Also one of the most packed categories, but the winner, Cold Days from Batman.
He is a knight.
It was one of the things that I considered nominating, but the listeners kind of beat me to it. And sure, it was a great little story. It was a good little source of decompression after the Batman-Catwoman wedding fiasco. And plus, the creative team is hard to beat.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Best sleeper or surprise hit. It's kind of an image-dominated category here. 3 of the 4 nominees are image books. Crowded, The Dead Hand, Ice Cream Man, and, again, The Immortal Hulk. And the winner is The Immortal Hulk.
No surprise there.
Yep. Smashed the competition. Once again, it got more than twice as many votes as its next closest competition, which was, as it turns out, Ice Cream Man. I think that's the closest I came to picking a winner this time around. Best ongoing comic. This is an ongoing series. It may have started in 2018, but it did not need to. The nominees there are the latest volume of Avengers by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness, the ever-popular Batman, Runaways, and the Marvel Star Wars series. And the winner, by yet another landslide, is Batman.
Na 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 na.
Meanwhile...
Oh, jeez.
That is richly deserved, I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue with that one.
Okay, next award goes to the Best Graphic Album of 2018, either an original graphic novel or a collection of older material. We have examples of both in the category this time. The nominees are Black Hammer Volume 2, The Event, Invincible Ultimate Collection, Volume 12, the final volume of collecting that series, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies from Ed Brubaker, and Reefer Madness from Yo Books. And the winner there is Black Hammer Volume 2, The Event.
Good pick.
Yep, we've done everything we can to tout Black Hammer in all of its incarnations, and our listeners have heeded our words. Now, as to the Best Writer of 2018, nominees there are Jason Aaron, Tom King, Gail Simone, and Dan Slott. Anybody want to take a stab at this?
Frank Miller.
I'll talk about your dark horse.
God. My God.
But no, it is in fact Tom King.
What?
Yeah, really? He is just killing it on everything he tries, and it makes me proud that he actually was a guest in our CGS studio before he broke through. We can always say that we knew him when. I mean, he's a fantastically talented guy and one of the nicest guys working in the industry, I am convinced.
Absolutely.
You can be comic book hipsters. I knew him before he was cool, man.
You know, Ian, I never knew about this whole Borscht Belt side to your personality here. These are...
It comes with being Jewish, my friend. It comes with being Jewish.
Yep, he just got in from the Catskills, and boy, are his arms tired.
But
Oh, it's magnificently awful. Holy mackerel. Superb.
once I get to a certain hour of the night, I get just punchy enough where I just can't stop.
All right. Now, after Best Writer, naturally, we move on to Best Artist. And the nominees in that category are Joe Bennett, Mitch Gerrits, Michael Lark, and Ed McGuinness. This is actually one of the closer categories, but the award goes to Mitch Gerrits.
Nice.
And so, another laurel for Mr. Miracle. I was almost expecting Joe Bennett, since he's attached to the Immortal Hulk, which is like a voter darling this year. But actually, he did not get that many votes. It was Mitch Gerrits with Ed McGuinness, a pretty close runner-up.
And rightfully so.
And after writer and artist, we must, of course, have Best Writer Artist, one creator who performs both functions on a single project. The nominees in that category are Katie Cook, our friend, Pug Grumble, also our friend, the pseudonymous creator of Farland the Goblin, Jeff Lemire, and Mr. Strangers in Paradise, Terry Moore. And the winner in this category, for what I believe is the second year in a row, Jeff Lemire.
Nice. Well deserved.
Yep. Terry Moore, a close runner-up. In the category of Best Color Artist of 2018, the nominees there are Santi Arcas, Tomeu Mori, Paul Mounts, and Matt Wilson. And the winner of this award, not for the first time, is Matt Wilson, whose hues can be seen in a few different high-profile Image Comics publications. Yep, including The Wicked and the Divine, a personal favorite of mine, so I cannot help but applaud Mr. Wilson for his win there. Under Best Letterer, underappreciated category, but one which we here at CGS will not allow to fall by the wayside. Nominees are Simon Boland, Joe Caramagna, Clayton Cowles, the inimitable Todd Klein, Carlos Mangual, and Russ Wooten. And the winner of Best Letterer of 2018 is Clayton Cowles. Calligraphy has graced quite a few high-profile projects over the year that was, including, but not limited to, certainly, Batman and Marvel's Domino and Daredevil.
The writing was on the wall for this category.
Oh, boy.
Oh. Bring me my muted trumpet.
You know, Ian, I think you were like in the outtakes, the Dirty Dancing, when they had like the bad comedian come on before the dancing. They just put that in the movie. Holy mackerel, buddy!
I was just talking about.
I'm in awe of you right now.
I was just talking about Dirty Dancing the other day. What a coincidence!
All right, and now our final category, and another fairly full slate for this one: the Breakthrough Talent of 2018, a creator whose star our listenership believes has risen to new heights in 2018. And the nominees there are Saladin Ahmed, Donnie Cates, Stephanie Hans, Joelle Jones, Kelly Thompson, and Chip Zdarsky. And the winner of Breakthrough Talent of 2018, as per the CGS listeners, is Chip Zdarsky.
Hey, that was my pick. All right.
Nice.
You knew the listeners' minds on that one, Chris. Or they knew yours, one or the other. But yes, he was the winner with Joelle Jones and Donnie Cates nipping at his heels. So there we are.
Go ahead, Mert. I'm sorry.
No. You first, Chris.
No, I just wanted to thank you as always for compiling this. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's a good deal of fun for me too, and it's always informative. Just to find out what our listeners are plugged into. And I want to again thank everybody out there listening for having contributed to and participating in this make-believe award show thing that we do once a year.
Hey, it's not make-believe. It's real, damn it.
That's true. That's true. It's the awards may be immaterial, but our devotion to our favorite comics and creators are not.
So. Indeed.
Exactly. These are the
to
no
all
prize
those,
awards.
Comics creators, publishers, etc., who won awards tonight. And now get out there, folks, and seek out the reading recommendations that we on the show and your fellow listeners have put out there for you to check out.
And speaking of reading recommendations, previews.
Right. Previews. On to phase 2.
Ian, that was a splendid segue.
I try.
Smooth as syrup. Image, gentlemen.
Image indeed.
Which has quite the dynamic intro page and previews this month.
Oh, yeah. Look at that splash.
Well, excellence definitely has me intrigued on page 46. Considering the talent behind it. Carrie Randolph and Brandon Thomas. Carrie Randolph, I haven't seen that name in a little while, but outside of Black. But we are Robin and Tech Jacket. Tech Jacket I actually really enjoyed back in the day. But Brandon Thomas, I'm not quite sure if I'm familiar with the art, but the art style is definitely right up my alley from the looks of it.
Yeah, I like it. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a striking cover.
Yep. And that's going to be 50% off on DCBS this month as well. So you won't be paying $4. You'll be paying $2.
It's about a son whose father is part of a secret society of black magicians. And then as the son enters the order, he sees its assistant that needs to be changed. I love stories involving this kind of dynamic where a seemingly pristine organization, they kind of turn inside out and you see the sordid underbelly.
Yep.
So that sounds like it's going to be a good time.
It also
the art. I'm looking at the next page. The art really is fantastic, Ian.
Yeah, it does, and it very much looks like he's drawing Michael B. Jordan. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I can certainly see where they may be heading to try and get the the movie rights going. So who knows?
Mm.
Oh God, you're right about that. Holy mackerel! Yeah,
there is an undeniable resemblance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look on page 50, the shot of him in profile.
Yep.
With the woman touching his face, it is Michael B. Jordan, basically.
Yeah.
So, he's a great actor.
It worked for Nick Fury. I mean, why not give it a shot here?
Yeah. All right. Then on page 52, we have, is it Gogor? Number 1?
I'll take your word for it.
Am I mispronouncing that?
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
I would have said Gogor. It just sounds more...
I'm going to go with Murd. That makes more sense.
Sounds more Atlas,
Deep underground among the floating islands of Altara, the mystical Gogor sleeps. But trouble brews above ground, and souls of the Domus impose their will across the land. Now a young student named Armano must awaken Gogor and begin his quest to protect the culture of Altara. That could be immensely fun.
Yep. Another 50% off.
I'm not familiar with the creator, but Ken Garing.
Another 50% off book as well on DCBS for a solid $1.99.
Several preview pages of that, his book as well.
Yep.
What is Die, Die, Die on page 58?
Let's see. Oh, actually, so Die, Die, Die is a series that Robert Kirkman sneakily released. There was no lead up for this whatsoever.
Really? Okay.
He just released it all one day, and now this is all being released to stores. So this is because they didn't see it coming the first time around. This is all 8 issues of that first arc of the series.
Was the book released monthly originally?
I'm not sure about that. I think I think it may have been bi-weekly or weekly, but either way, it was a stealth release. No one saw it coming.
Huh.
Yep, and it's co-written by Kirkman and Scott Gimple, who's a writer and producer for The Walking Dead, with art by frickin' Chris Burnham.
Oh, great artist.
Yep.
Now, Ian, on page 59, I had never read much of East West, although I love Jonathan Hickman. Is this being made into a television show?
I think it may have been optioned, yeah.
Okay.
Not too long ago, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
Actually, you know what? No, because I remember Alec Nolan Wellington on the forums commented on, because someone had asked, why isn't Hickman writing as many comics? And he responded that he's still doing this, and apparently he's also involved in, I think, a television show for this. He'll correct me if I'm wrong.
It's another Amazon Studios series, it looks like. That was
it says right at the bottom. I totally missed that.
Yep, that was announced back in 2018. So they must still be deep in development on it.
Have you read this book? Because I have not read it.
I may have read the first issue. I have the first, I think, 4 trades digitally as part of a Humble bundle that I bought years ago. So I could easily, get through at least the first couple, but I have not actually gotten to it yet on my large pile of stuff.
Well, I should try it because I've really enjoyed everything I've ever read by Hickman. So
yeah, and Dragota's art as well is always impressive.
I'm jumping ahead to page 68. I talked about and I nominated Bitterroot #1 as best new title of 2018. I have not read past that issue, and I'm going to order this trade so I can at least get the first arc in because I loved issue 1, and I'm a big fan of the David Walker and Sanford Green. Chuck Brown, the co-writer on that. Wonderful. The first issue was just a fantastic setup about the time of the Harlem Renaissance, the 1920s, an African American family who, their legacy is to, they're basically monster hunters. They also try to cure monsters as well. And the first issue was utterly compelling. So definitely going to try that trade out.
$10.19 on DCBS for 40% off.
There's the swell gang. On page 71, Murd and I both enjoyed 1975 #1. And this trade collects issues 1 through 3. This is one of Image's classic $9.99 trades. Always a great way to get someone to jump onto a new series.
I see that they're offering the trade for Warren Ellis's Cemetery Beach on page 69 that I got to bring up because it's Warren Ellis and it's called Cemetery Beach, so that sounds weird enough for me.
On page 77, obviously I'm jonesing for Saga because it's on hiatus for the year after the staggering events of the last issue back in 2018. But this is the third deluxe hardcover, so this collects issues 37 to 54. If you're only reading Saga and trade, or maybe only reading in this deluxe form, these deluxe hardcovers are fantastic. They're beautiful presentations. Again, if you want to get in on one of the best comic book series of the day, there it is. And Ian, I know you're always like to proselytize about page 78 and 79.
Yep. Looks like we're basically they're just going whole hog on Invincible now that the animated series is coming. So this is just a resolicit of all the Invincible they can possibly put on there. I'd shy away from the compendiums just because even though they are like a lot of issues at once, it's a very, very large collection. So unless you're willing to just sit down on a couch and just read through like 36 issues at once, it's really not practical. But I am a huge champion for the Ultimate Collections, as you all well know, so I would go for that over anything else.
And this is going to be an animated series, apparently.
Yes, it is. Yep. Animated series in the works and coming out, I believe, before the end of the year is up, if not 2020. So and is Kirkman intimately involved in the series? He is, as is Seth Rogen. It's Seth Rogen's production company. So
oh wow,
yeah. So same guys behind Preacher are going to be tackling this animated series.
Well, this is a series that I'm criminally lacking. I've only read the first arc, so And when someone who I respect as much as you, Ian, sings its praises, I got to get back on board here.
Yeah, it's easily sometimes the way I describe it to people, it's almost like Superman meets Dragon Ball Z. It's a Superman story just in the or even Spider-Man story in the way that they execute it, but the action is as kinetic as what you can find in Dragon Ball Z for anybody who's a fan of that.
And I've heard or read more than one person say that they think it is the greatest superhero comic series of all time.
I would be right there with them. Yeah, it's great stuff.
All right. It's praise enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else for Image, gentlemen? We're now into their regular monthly offerings here.
Well, on pages 64 and 65, I noticed that an indie comic that I've enjoyed in the past is finally being made available through Image. This is called Copra. It's written and drawn by Michel Fife. I've mentioned it on the show before. It's basically it's a love or at least it began as a love letter to John Ostrander's the 80s Suicide Squad run. With lots of other fun random elements thrown into the mix and recombined, including analogs for like Marvel's Doctor Strange and the Punisher, among other surprise guest stars. And over time, through the alembic of Fife's quasi-surrealist storytelling, it's kind of evolved over 5 volumes of trades into something far richer and stranger than what it was at the beginning. So all 5 volumes to date are apparently being offered now through Image. In the past, they were only being put out through Fife's own Bergen Street Press. But now they'll reach a much wider audience, and I'm very happy about that.
Very good. Yeah, and
right.
All those are 40% off as well on DCBS, as well they should be.
Now, Ian, are you reading Walking Dead monthly?
No, I'm still a bit behind. I'm mostly getting it out from the library whenever my library gets it. So I have a lot of catching up to do.
In your reading, are you still finding the series satisfying?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
It's definitely nowhere near as satisfying as it once was, but it's still satisfying enough for me to continue to read it.
Okay.
I want to know where it's going more than anything else. So let's put it that way.
Do you think he has an ending in mind?
Maybe, or maybe not.
Okay.
I mean, again, the show seems to be going in a very, very different direction than what the comic has to offer right now. So, I think as long, I mean, this might not be the case on the show, of course, because I'm way behind on the show, so I know nothing about it basically. But as long as Rick is the lead character of the comic, there will continue to be a comic. If he somehow decides that he doesn't want to write it anymore, then that's the end of Rick's story, and that's the end of the comic, I believe. I don't know if that will be the case, but for now, Rick's still kicking, so he's still got comics to write.
Okay.
Yep.
You guys ready for Dark Horse?
One more, actually.
Please.
Page 72. I needed to call out Middle West, book 1 being released. The writer is Scotty Young here, and I always want to highlight his work whenever possible. And this one looks like it's a nice fantasy adventure title with Scotty as the writer and Jorge Corona on the art. It's about the town of Farmington, which has recently been destroyed, and it sends an adventurer and his companions in search of answers as to exactly what's going on. And if the art style is anything like the art style of the cover, then I'm very much intrigued. And this collects the first 6 issues of this in this first volume.
That's a striking cover. I like that art quite a bit.
Yep. All right. Ready to move on? If you guys are ready to move on.
Yep. Dark Horse it is.
Andiamo.
So we got a Stranger Things prequel. Number, you've watched the show, haven't you?
I have seen the first season, and I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I know you did. And Ian, how about you?
I'm about midway through the second season. I still have not finished it, but what do you think of it? I enjoy it. The second season's a little slower, so that's kind of why I never actually got around to finishing it. But I will finish it at some point.
Now, are they doing a third season?
Yes, they are, which is premiering, I believe, before the end of this year is done. It was delayed. I know that, but it is definitely coming.
All right. So if you're a fan of the show, this will maybe hold you over a little bit until the third season premieres. Yep. And it's a prequel.
First issue is 50% off at dcbservice.com.
Excellent.
So on page 106, if anything Brian Wood writes, I usually find is well worth your time. Here he's doing he's taking another foray into the Aliens universe. He's already written Aliens Defiance, Aliens Resistance, which I have not read myself, but I'm sure they're worth reading because it's Brian Wood. This follows an elite colonial marine and his interactions with the aliens. It's Brian Wood. I'm sure if you're a fan of Aliens, I'm sure it's going to be worth your time.
Yep. I got to bring up both things on page 108.
Please.
Not only does page 108 have volume 3 of the Umbrella Academy, which I've very much been waiting to read, but I've decided to go entirely trade on that since I have the first 2 trades, so now I get a chance to read it. Hotel Oblivion volume 3 is being released. Issues 1 through 7 it collects, and we'll see what happens after that. But the collection of William Gibson's Alien 3 hardcover. I have been waiting for this because this is supposed to be very different than the Alien 3 that we actually got.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, and I it's William Gibson. I mean, Neuromancer was one of my first real science fiction books that I read and enjoyed. And I am beyond curious what his Alien 3 looks like. So I have to read that to figure it out.
Now, Ian, let me ask you. So
yeah,
the movie that we saw, now, was Gibson's screenplay totally thrown out?
Totally thrown out, yeah.
Okay.
There may be slight elements in there of it, but barely so, because, I mean, I'm spoiling a movie from 1992 here. But
it's okay.
I mean, Alien 3 starts out with the death of Ripley. And that is very much not the case from what I'm hearing from this original version, is that the original version of Alien 3 was going to feature a decent amount of the original characters rather than basically throwing out the bathwater and trying something new, which still kind of irks me to this day, considering how excellent Alien and Aliens is. And to then just throw everything to the side the way they did in Alien 3 was not a good look.
I mean, as a viewer, what's such a downer is that they just survive this incredible ordeal.
Yeah.
And then, Hicks and Newt, it's just what is like their suspended animation chambers malfunction or something like that. I mean, it's that kind of took me out of the movie right from the get-go.
Yeah, it was
honestly.
It was back when all they wanted to do was make sequels rather than actually tell a story.
Yeah.
And had they simply waited for at least a couple of the actors to be willing to do something more than just a cameo, we probably would have gotten a much better movie out of it. But instead, we got something along the lines of what we got with the the third Batman movie, which is So it was what it was back in '92.
Yep. Well, page 111, I have to do this every month, as Murr just noted when he did his awards, that we always like to praise the Black Hammer universe by Jeff Lemire and his collaborators, especially the artist Dean Ormston on the flagship title Age of Doom. If you love superheroes, if you love golden age sensibilities, but with a dark twist, so to speak, please read these books. I mean, this is some of the best comics being produced right now. The Black Hammer material. I can't recommend it enough.
Now, on page 112, have either of you read Harrow County?
I have not.
Okay.
Nor have I.
Okay.
Cullen Bunn, though.
Yeah, that's why I was immediately curious, and I see as well that its Eisner nominated, but I am not familiar with the work, but I do see that the third library edition hardcover is coming out for this collection, so I might have to track down the other two.
What I'm excited about on page 114, I love this series, The Massive. This is another Brian Wood production. The story takes place. It's like a post. They put it here best: a post-war, post-crash, post-disaster, post-everything world, and it follows they're like a Greenpeace type organization. They're in a trawler called the Capital, and they're looking for their sister ship called the Massive. And this collects issues 0 through 15. If you like DMZ, for example, and Jamie D right now is frowning at me from wherever he might be. You're going to enjoy The Massive. It's again, Wood always does fascinating intersections of geopolitical situations and intrigue and near futures involving compelling policy issues like the impact of climate change and environmental cataclysm and so forth. So I really enjoyed the series quite a bit. So that's on page 114.
I have something on page 116. They're actually turning Minecraft into a comic. And I mean, Minecraft is one of the most successful video games of all time. And pretty much everybody under the age of 10 has played it at least once. But this is a graphic novel by Sfee R. Monster and Sarah Grayley. Basically just setting it in the world of Minecraft, where a couple of kids are looking to go on the ultimate quest in the video game to travel to the end and face off against the Ender Dragon. And I mean, for any kids out there, this is probably going to be right up their alley. And starting price is only $10, so I'll have to look up to see what it is on DCBS.
All right, so Ian, I'm going to be an antediluvian fuddy-duddy here.
Mm-hmm.
As a teacher and as a parent,
yeah,
I'm pleased that there's at least a version of this game that a kid can actually read rather than stare at with a mindless zombie visage, which I've seen far too much of in recent years.
That is true.
Sorry. Video games have been a source of tremendous stress in my home.
I can understand that.
So,
as teacher and as parent, yes?
Yes. I mean, as a teacher – you're more battling cell phones than you are, although sometimes the kids play games on their phones. But and I mean, some teachers will actually have like pouches where you walk in the room and the kids have to put their phones into pouches. I've never wanted to do that because I never was in for punishing the kids who are actually being attentive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get off on a tangent on this, and then I'm going to start critiquing like the state of American culture right now.
well, on the bright side, the version of Minecraft that has words included with it is only $5.99 on DCBS.
All right,
so it's a good entry point for kids who want to put down their controllers and read something.
Here's something interesting. I wanted to ask you both about this. I found this fascinating. On page 120, 121, Disney versions of classic monster stories. I've never seen this before.
Huh. Neither have I.
This familiar with you? You familiar with this, Murd?
No, I'm not. I'm getting the feeling it was originally produced for the Disney European market, probably a couple of years ago. But yeah, I've never seen anything like this in the United States before.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right about that because the authors, their names are European. They don't really go into whether or not. I'm assuming these are. I guess these are reprints. I don't know if these are new or not, but they look fun.
They do.
Dracula starring Mickey Mouse and Frankenstein starring Donald Duck.
I'm not seeing anything on here that says specifically that it's a collection of any sort of issues. So yeah, it's a good question as to whether or not it's original material or not.
Huh. So the forums may be able to help us out with that.
Yep. And something listed, by the way, on page 119 that I'm not entirely sure whether it's actually going to be coming out or not, considering that I found the news that Usagi Yojimbo was leaving Dark Horse, and yet here's a solicit for Usagi Yojimbo the Hidden coming out from Dark Horse. So I'll have to look up whether or not that's been canceled or whether it's been resolicited under its new publisher. But either way, it's supposed to be collecting the Hidden issues 1 through 7 in hardcover.
Huh. I'm ashamed to say I've never read an issue of that series.
Yep. We'll get there.
And I've heard it's magnificent. So I'm jumping way ahead. We can always jump back. But this reminded me of Shane. I wish he was here with us for this, especially on page 133. Star Blazers, Space Battleship Yamato, 2199, Volume 1. If you grew up in the 70s and also if you saw reruns in the 80s as I did, the animation version of this story blew my mind as a kid because you actually saw people die in a cartoon, which I'd never seen before. They were playing the reruns after school. I think it was on WPIX. And so this, let's see. Now the epic tale of a legendary World War II battleship retrofitted as a spacecraft on a mission to save Earth has been remade by the generation of Japanese creators that grew up inspired by it. Wow. Oh, I love this story. Man, either one of you ever watched Star Blazers?
I was completely ignorant of its existence until I was like 27. When I became involved with CGS, actually.
Yeah.
Jamie and Shane and Brian Deemer used to gush about it all the time, and Matt and I would just sit there and look at each other and shrug. So, yeah, I've seen a couple episodes of it. The music is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Full orchestra. So I kind of enjoyed it when I finally discovered it, but it's not a part of my childhood. And
fair enough.
Understanding this correctly, this is like a remake of the original manga material?
Interesting. Yeah, a couple of years before my time. I have not really indulged in Star Blazers, but this might be a good place to start.
Or just seek out and watch the first couple episodes of the series.
Yep.
And I think they made a live action film of it.
They did.
Yeah, which I've never seen in Japan.
Yep. I have on page 126. I have to mention this because it may already be in the nomination for best one shot of 2019. Hellboy versus Lobster Johnson: The Ring of Death one shot, written by Mike Mignola, also co-written by Chris Robertson, Mike Norton, Paul Grist, and Dave and covers by Dave Stewart and Bill Crabtree
and Paulo Rivera.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sold immediately. Frickin' Mike Norton doing Hellboy. I cannot wait to see what that looks like. This is, and it's a frickin' boxing match from the looks of it. So come on.
Maybe a little lucha libre thrown in.
Ole. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, Ian. I had missed that Mike was doing the art on that.
Yeah, no problem.
I will definitely pick up a copy of that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else for Dark Horse, gentlemen?
Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of ongoing series, so nothing really on that note. Merge, you got anything?
On page 125, we've got another 2-issue Beasts of Burden miniseries. This is written by Evan Dorkin with art by Jill Thompson of Neil Gaiman's Sandman and her own scary godmother. It's about a little group of dogs and cats, just domestic pets who get together to fight supernatural menaces that threaten their little sleepy town of Burden Hill that their human masters have a way of overlooking. So it's a bunch of monster fighters who happen to be dogs. So it's a cool concept. And this is the first of a 2-issue miniseries. It's called Beasts of Burden: The Presence of Others. And it sounds like it's going to be a fairly major turning point in the ongoing series of miniseries that is Beasts of Burden.
Evan Dorkin will always be known as the one of my first interviews on Comic Timing, and he put me to shame.
He's entirely too good at that, from what I hear.
Yeah, never go into an interview unprepared. That's what I learned that day.
Dare I ask how prepared were you, sir?
Not nearly as familiar with his work as I should have been. Let's put it that way.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
It was a long time ago, and I have learned my lesson. Don't talk to somebody specifically on a long form interview unless you are at least familiar with half of his stuff. I knew him mostly from animation, and Milk and Cheese, and he's done a lot more than that.
Well, you were a callow youth then.
That is true, yeah. Oh, and I must point out before we move on from Dark Horse, of course, on page 135, a Game of Thrones Iron Throne business card holder.
Well, I am in season 3, so I got a long way to go.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
But I it's tremendous. Although for me, if Peter Dinklage wasn't in the show, I don't think I'd find it as compelling, quite frankly.
Fair enough.
He makes that show for me, but it's magnificent. And now, Ian, is there are there 7 seasons?
Yes, I believe I think the 7th is what we're about to get, if I remember. Okay, if I remember
that's the final season, right?
That is the final season. However, they have already announced spin-offs.
Huh.
Most of which I think are going to be prequels, not sequels. So,
okay.
AKA you can skip them if you want to.
Yeah, so, I mean, this summer I'm going to try to get all the way to the end if I can.
Yep.
So, all right, DC, gentlemen.
DC.
Hey, if you love TMNT and you love Batman, we got another team up on page 1.
The trailer to the movie just came out.
A new TMNT movie?
A new Batman TMNT animated movie.
Oh, really?
Well.
Yep. That was just released trailer-wise, I believe, today. They announced that a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be based on, I think, the first arc of this crossover.
Which I thought was very good, so excellent.
Yep. Yeah, Freddie Williams couldn't be more thrilled.
Well, if you're a fan of the Capullo Snyder run on Batman, they're having a final curtain call apparently on page 2 and 3. Batman Last Night with a K on Earth. Bruce Wayne wakes up in Arkham Asylum, young, sane, and he was never Batman. I'm going to definitely try. Are you guys going to check this out? I will.
I'm going to check it out, mostly because the cover looks very much not like that, with Batman holding Joker's head in a jar.
Yeah.
So that's a confluence of circumstances.
Be warned, Ian. It's a bi-monthly series.
Oh boy,
3 issues.
Well, I will wait for the collection.
Yeah, I often find that a lot of comics just don't lend themselves to the bi-monthly release schedule.
I'm gonna be one of those guys who says that if you're gonna do this and you're gonna release it bi-monthly, just release it as a graphic novel, please.
I agree.
Come on, I don't want to have to reread something just to remember what happened 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing with Watchmen, because I'm reading it, but part of it's just I'm becoming a doddering middle-aged person. But I don't remember what I read 2 months ago or more, depending on how far behind I'm on a series. So
yeah, and Doomsday Clock is heady stuff.
Yeah. All right. I got to go for a moment, if I may.
Mhm.
I page 12, Dog Days of Summer, #1. Great Francis Manipul cover. So we got Scripto, Bat Cow. Who's Ferdinand murdered? Wonder Woman and Ferdinand?
I don't know who Ferdinand is. I wonder if it might have been introduced in G. Willow Wilson's current run.
Well, she's one of the writers on this book, so
right.
Oh, Ferdinand. No, actually, Ferdinand is an old character. Ferdinand is a Minotaur.
Yeah, that makes sense for Wonder Woman then.
Yeah, in fact, I think Ferdinand may have been in Greg Rucka's run, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, that run was so good, and I do remember a Minotaur in the story. That's true.
Yeah,
that's a great run. This is an 80-page. I love the 80-page giants, an 80-page giant format. So good to see that.
I have to bring up on page 6 because just the name alone, Deceased. How have they never done that before? That's the question. Written by Tom Taylor, art by Trevor Hairsine, Stefano Guadino, and James Harren. And it's a mysterious techno-virus has been released on Earth, infecting 600 million people and turning them into monstrous engines of destruction. Totally not Marvel Zombies in any way.
Not in the least.
Nope.
But hey, at least it's got a very clever title.
Yes, it does.
Page 13 is the final issue of Heroes in Crisis, which I've been enjoying thoroughly. Can't wait to see where this is headed. It's Tom King, so I have faith in the story he's telling. That's the final issue on page 13.
Batman and the Outsiders is finally coming out, huh? Because that was an issue that I think was originally solicited for January and was then resolicited. So I think they may have rewritten it from the ground up, if I heard correctly.
Huh.
Yeah, but that's issue 1 solicited on page 8.
I want to put it on page 14 and 15. I got to jump into Superman because I've been hearing so much about this Leviathan storyline, and I haven't read any of it. Anybody up on this?
Still got to catch up.
Haven't even heard of it.
No, just from what I've been hearing, and just the copywriting, it sounds fascinating. Like Leviathan apparently is like the Mac Daddy of subversive groups that just crushes every other subversive group in terms of power in the DC universe. So forget Cobra and all the rest of them. So I always love stories involving secret societies and things like that.
I can't help but say whenever I hear Cobra, I need to scream Cobra.
Oh, Ian, don't even get me started. If you're going to bring G.I. Joe into this, I'm going to go into some terrible tangent. You can go back to our spotlight recorded years ago on the Marvel G.I. Joe comic.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Ian, on page 15, Action Comics 1011, art by Steve Epting, for Pete's sake.
Yep. And that Leviathan special has art by Yannick Paquette.
Oh, let's see. I mean, we got a lot of monthly stuff we've talked about in the past. Tom King's Batman, of course.
Hold on. We need to talk about on page 16, Adventures of the Super Sons number 10.
Okay.
Just for what appears to be a child Lex Luthor, a child Joker, a child Deadshot.
Deadshot, yeah.
A child Brainiac, a child Doomsday, and a child Captain Cold.
It's a great cover.
and it's Tomasi's, so it's bound to be fun and well written.
The expression on Luthor's face is definitive.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Kid past his bedtime. That's what that expression says.
I love this guy. What else, my beloved colleagues?
Well, I mean, going all the way back, I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention the DC Year of the Villains special, just considering that it's 25 cents.
Mm-hmm. Or 15 cents at dcbservice.com.
Excellent.
Clutch, Murd, clutch.
That's a good price. And Bendis, Snyder, and James Tynion IV, with art by Jim Chung, Alex Maleev, and Francis Manipul.
Leading up to what looks like it's going to be a big villain-centric story for 2019, spinning out of the new Legion of Doom that Scott Snyder and James Tynion have been kind of tag-teaming on in the current run of Justice League.
Nice. I'm all for that.
I'm jumping way ahead just because I had to point this out to Murd with great relief. On page 56, the return of Scooby-Doo Team-Up.
Yep, it lives.
Yay!
Yep, it looks like it just lapsed back into a bi-monthly schedule, but it is still being published. And this month, the Scooby Gang is teaming up with members of the Flash's Rogues Gallery. Not the Flash himself, but the Rogues, to protect them from the ghost of the Top, which is tying back into a late Bronze Age, an actual story that happened in the Flash comics.
Wow.
Good old Jolly Fish. The man knows his history.
So the jumping back to page 20, so the new Batman storyline appears to be called "The Fall of the Fallen," with art by Mikhail Janin again, which that was his co-creator. I guess you could say co-creator, but he did Miracle Man as well, right? Or am I remembering wrong?
That's Mitch Gerads.
Okay.
Did,
then where do I know Mikhail Janin from when it comes to Tom King? Was that one of his maybe one of his collaborators on Elsewhere? But he's done Batman with him, so that's probably just what I'm
failing you miserably there. I'm sorry.
All right, but either way, it's we've got Flashpoint Batman yet again involved with this story, so that has me intrigued.
Well, it says get all the answers in this new 5-part story, paving the way for the next big Batman event.
Yep. Oh, Grayson. Grayson he worked on. That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That was a great series. Yeah. So I imagine, what we saw developing after the aborted wedding, it's going to continue to build towards revelation upon revelation, the Bane's plot and so forth. Again, these stories are so good. The love of history, the reverence for the characters, their personalities. Whenever I read Tom's work, I mean, he's such a skilled writer, but there's such an obvious you feel the love and enthusiasm he has for the subject matter. It just comes through on every page.
Yep.
It's like the ultimate fan got to write comics, but he's also a great writer, and it's just a perfect combination there.
Yep.
I have some trades I want to show, unless you guys have other floppies you want to mention.
I have the Catwoman annual on page 21, actually. Just for written by Joelle Jones with art by Elena Casagrande, and it appears to be Catwoman's older costume here. So that's she's I don't know if she's gone back to that, because it's a very Batman Returns-esque costume. I'm not sure if that's just temporary or what she's been going around with lately, but it still has me interested. And she has a tail, or it's just a whip, or both.
I wanted to point out, always a Greg Rucka fan, on page 68, Checkmate by Greg Rucka, book 1. This is a great series.
It was.
The Checkmate organization. He brings in what's the name of the character? Ian, or Murd might know this too. She was Batman's bodyguard, Bruce Wayne's bodyguard. Then she became his partner briefly.
Sacha Bordeaux,
and they were actually got involved romantically too.
Yep.
This is her heading this organization. It's so well done. It's Rucka. I mean, doing an espionage story, that's enough. I highly recommend that. And for anyone left on the planet who has not read Batman Year One, and I don't mean that as a put down, because if you haven't, to me this is still my favorite Batman comic of all time. Page 71. It doesn't get better than this, folks.
Well, you mentioned year one, so I just have to point this out before we move on to DC. Page 34, Joshua Williamson with art and cover by the phenomenal Howard Porter. Flash number 70 begins Flash Year One.
Ooh. Wait, what page is that on?
That's on page 34.
Totally missed that. Let's take a look.
Joshua Williamson and Howard Porter. Flash Year One starts here. Barry Allen feels helpless in his life in Central City. And all that changes one fateful night when Barry's struck by a bolt of lightning and chemicals, and bam, he becomes the Flash. And
wow.
That cover is stunning.
Yes, it is. I always liked Howard Porter's art. All right, gentlemen, I got to leave soon, unfortunately. Do you mind if I do a couple quick lightning round comments?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Appreciate it. I wanted to point out, first of all, IDW, and this is on page 140, which is the next publish we're going to anyway. On page 146, 147, George Takei, of course, of Sulu fame, is co-writing a memoir about his time as a child in the internment camps that our government disgracefully placed Japanese Americans in the hysteria after Pearl Harbor during World War II. I'm sure many listeners are familiar, at least the basics of this history. But Takei was in one of these camps, and this is the same publishers who produced the civil rights story March, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The award-winning March trilogy, and so it's Takei's memoir of that experience.
I saw Allegiance, which was the play that was also loosely based upon his experiences, and it was outstanding. It was so well done. Every actor involved with it, including Takei, was on point, and I was so very happy I got to see it on Broadway while it was there.
Oh, you lucky duck.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been a big Takei fan. I love how the guy can laugh at himself, and he always loved Sulu, and I've heard him interviewed over the years about this experience. They also interview him in previews as well, I believe, about the story. This is a period in American history that, I mean, it's a disgraceful moment when it comes to, our government violating the civil rights of some of its own people, because many of these people were actually American citizens. Many of them were actually born in the United States. And you often find in our history that when we have moments of real insecurity and the anxiety that breeds, there's often an overreach in terms of the government response. I mean, we could debate, the Patriot Act of 9/11, for example. But there's many such examples in American history, and this is one from the 20th century. And I'm glad Takei is going to have his moment in this format to tell us that story. So I'm sure that's going to be well worth checking out.
50% off, by the way, for $10.
Ian, I've said before I believe in Ian Levinstein. And let me tell you, my faith is only expanding in leaps and bounds.
Oh, my.
Page 171, Road of Bones. There's a lot of good history stuff in this month's previews. This is about, and I've studied this, this is about the Siberian Gulag Kolyma in the Soviet Union. And it's displaced in 1953. The Gulag was, of course, the archipelago of Soviet labor camps that, Stalin and his successors would dump, people who they considered a threat to their regime. And this is about a person who tries to escape the camp, or is it actually in his mind? And that's what the story apparently is about. The art looks fantastic, and this when we talk about like atrocities, people often naturally focus on the Holocaust. What the Soviet Union did to its own people is often overlooked because it was within their own borders. But Stalin alone, they estimate, killed maybe 30 million of his own people during his reign. So I think this is going to be an important book. That's Road of Bones #1 from IDW. And Ian, I wanted to point out, if you're a Mike Mignola fan, as I know you are, they're reissuing the work he did on Bram Stoker's Dracula with Roy Thomas. On page, which I've never read actually. I've heard the art on is fantastic. On page 172, and no one does a better adaptation than Roy Thomas. And forgive me, guys, I'm going on here, but there's a lot of great stuff in IDW before I depart. Page 174, Marvel Masterwork pinups. Who doesn't love the pinups from the Silver Age comics? And here they collect a whole slew of them. 120 pages, $35 hardcover. Kirby, Ditko, Steranko, Heck, Byrne, Wood, Romita, Severin. My heart is bursting out of my ribcage right now.
Wow.
And Murd, one of your touchstones on page 175.
Yep,
The Last Unicorn.
Yep, new trade paperback edition. I have read this adaptation, and it is quality. I haven't.
I was going to ask. This is a reprint, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Different cover from the edition I have.
I have yet to. I mean, I love the movie as a kid. I've never read that graphic novel, but I wanted to point that out because you could wax rhapsodic about it. And then before I depart, a couple of things I just wanted to point out in Marvel, and I'll leave everything in your capable hands. But I thought it was so cool on page 38 in the Marvel previews. The all-new next issue to the original Marvel Star Wars series. Issue 108. Matthew Rosenberg writing and a slew of artists, including the great Kerry Gamble, who I loved when he worked on Power Man and Iron Fist in the 80s. Woo! Covered by Walt Simonson, who worked on the original Marvel Star Wars series. Totally getting this. That is really exciting. And I also wanted to point out, and again, I apologize, I'm just kind of breezing through because I got to depart. They're doing more Star Wars one-shots, We talked last month about they're doing like a Tarkin one-shot and Princess Leia. Here we got on page 90, we got Boba Fett, Greg Pak writing in. Han Solo, Greg Pak writing, Chris Sprouse art in. Jabba the Hutt by Pak, Lando Calrissian by Pak and Sprouse. Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. And when we finally get the first issue on our hands, I look forward to discussing Spider-Man Lifetime.
Yes, indeed.
Which I cannot wait to read. And I also wanted to point out, because when Mert and I did our Submariner Spotlight a few months ago, on page 104, I'm really thrilled to see they're doing this. Townley's Greatest, The Golden Age of Submariner by Bill Everett, the pre-war years omnibus hardcover. Looks like a beautiful edition. They've got alternate cover. It's $150 prior to the DCB service discount, collecting all the classic Submariner stories from the Golden Age Everett did prior to and during the early years of World War II. If you're a fan of Golden Age history, if you enjoyed our spotlight on this, you should get this book. I'm sure that it's going to be high production quality. It better be for that price. Covers look beautiful. So I like to see when they give such a really one of the founding fathers of the American superhero comic is getting his due here, and that's vitally important. And I'm glad to see that. And the last thing I wanted to shout out, I'm going to jump ahead just for a moment to Abstract, Terry Moore's imprint. This is exciting. This is on, forgive me, gentlemen, I'm getting to the page. Oh, where is it? Here we go. Page 250. 5 years number 1. The Terryverse. So Moore is taking all of his characters and putting into one epic saga. So we got Strangers in Paradise, Kachu and Francine. We've got Ivy and Rachel from Rachel Rise. We've got Echo. I'm sure Motor Girl's in there. I can't wait to read this. I haven't read the last issue of Strangers yet that I got on one of the recent shipments, but you know, he's building a story, whether you realize it or not. Now it's going to culminate in this. I mean, how cool is that Terry Moore has created his own universe out of his creations?
If anybody could do it, it's him.
Yeah, I'm deeply excited. And on that note, my brothers, I apologize. I must depart.
Not a problem.
As I must attend to a few end-of-the-day duties before retiring to once again enter the trenches of the American educational system and, you know, navigate its many, sometimes treacherous rocks and shoals. Yeah. And those rocks and shoals are not about the kids who are wonderful. It's about the administrators.
We understand.
And I'll leave it at that.
Go through the Bifrost, enter Odin's sleep, and wake up another day.
My friends, I leave the rest again in your skilled hands, to say the least. I send deep reverence and love to you both, and we shall talk soon.
Sounds good to me, Chris.
Right.
And Mert, have a great sojourn, brother.
No, thank you very much, Chris. I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward just as much to returning home again and communing with both of you once again.
And we look forward to your field report.
You shall have it, sir.
All right, brothers, take care. Good night.
All right, good night.
Good night, Chris.
Bye.
Well, Mert, it looks like it's just you and me.
Once again.
Yeah.
All right. So, where do we want to pick up?
Well, I've got some IDW stuff to point out. Did you have anything in Dark Horse still, or are you ready for IDW?
There was one DC trade that was kind of compelling.
Sure,
page 82, they're starting to do an absolute collection of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
Ah.
And that cover, it says it's not the final cover, but it's just such a great striking image. The Swamp Thing as the Green Man.
Very cool. You know, that's part of the side of comic books that is completely something I've never tried. So I know it's something that I should. So maybe this will be the time to do so.
Oh, yes, we all should. And I'm not much better versed in it than you are, Ian. I've only cherry-picked an issue or two here and there, but its reputation is well established.
Yep.
And it's how Alan Moore first became known to American audiences.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I don't really want to pick it up in absolute form since that's huge and unwieldy and expensive.
Yep.
But one day, both you and I will know the wonder that is Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
Maybe the library is the best place for me to go.
Mm-hmm. Good thought.
Mm-hmm.
As you've got the Metropolitan Library System at your fingertips.
Yes, I do. I have both New York Public Library and Brooklyn Public Library.
Yep, see, all kinds of resources. I don't think the Robizonia Public Library is going to offer me quite the same range of choices.
You never know. Although I will mention The Art of Jim Lee, Volume 1. That's kind of a cool thing to be checking out. And previously they had The Art of Darwin Cook. So that's on page 72, and regular price is $40. So it's a hardcover from DC, so I'm going to guess it's $20 on DCBS.
Almost certainly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I think that's just about it from me for that.
Yeah, I think for me as well.
Very good. So, Dark Horse or IDW, your choice.
Well, I think we've pretty much taken care of Dark Horse. So
all right.
let's move on to IDW.
Okay. So I will start off with something silly because that's something that I enjoy doing once my computer stops farting on me here. Come on, you. Come on. Yeah, it's not responding at the moment. You can go ahead. I'll wait for my computer to catch up to me.
Okay, I can probably guess what the silly thing is you were about to speak of. Would it be the Star Wars Adventures Annual?
No, it's not, actually.
Okay, then that'll be my silly thing.
There you go.
There we go. It's Star Wars Adventures Annual number 2019. It's on page 153. And it's news stories featuring, Jackson the Green Alien Humanoid Rabbit. Yeah, there's actually a cover by none other than Stan Sakai.
Oh, wow.
Yep, of Jackson the Rabbit interacting somewhat testily with Han Solo.
Excellent.
There's also a big inset image of Lando Calrissian. So it's a 48-page one-shot of material that appears to harken back to the original Marvel run of Star Wars, which is, as Chris pointed out when he spoke of the new Star Wars number 108, always a good thing to revisit.
Yes, it is. All right, I'm scrolling back down here. Almost there. Come on, you. Have to close the PDF and reopen it. Let's see. So my silly thing was actually a Sonic the Hedgehog book that just had a such a ridiculous name that I had to mention it. It's on page here it is on page 151. Team Sonic Racing Plus Deluxe Turbo Championship Edition one shot. Just go ahead and cover every single video game trope in one title and put it out. That's what they're doing right there with a title about frickin' Team Sonic Racing. With Caleb Gollner on writing and Adam Bryce Thomas on art. I'm sure it's going to be an enjoyable experience of watching Sonic race in a car.
In a car, yes, because it makes so much sense for a character with super speed under his own power to be behind the wheel of a car in the first place.
Absolutely. What do they think of next?
I don't know, but I hope they can describe it in fewer words.
Yes. I do see on page 157 they're collecting another collection of the ongoing DuckTales series. This collects issues 12 through 14 of that, titled Monsters in Mayhem. So.
Yeah, I see Gladstone Gander there on the front cover.
Yep. Pretty
sure I bought the single issue that has that story in it. Not
nice.
only because I enjoy St. Patrick's Day / Leprechaun stories, but Gladstone Gander is kind of a family joke with me. My mother's comic book reading experience was limited to Donald Duck comics back in the 50s. And she always used to call her brother Gladstone Gander because he, like Gladstone, always seemed to have a maddening amount of personal good fortune at his command. He just seemed to breeze through life without even trying. He continues to this very day. He's in his 70s now. And his Gladstone good luck is not worn off yet. So seeing a Gladstone cover, I think I bought it to amuse my mother as much as to read and enjoy myself.
Nice. I feel like every family has one of those. Whether it be a cousin or a distant relative or something, you look at that one person and you're like, man, the luck on that one.
Got all the luck in the family.
Yep. Well, I can go all the way down to page 160 because this one seems like it's straight out of my heart just for the oddball nature of it, and it reminds me a little bit of a throwaway from the Evangelion anime, where all of a sudden they were all normal and part of a high school, and the rest of that is very much not the case. Atomic Robo and the Dawn of a New Era. All of a sudden, Robo shifts from the sci-fi elements and the catastrophes to life in a boarding school for future action scientists. And I'm sure that that's absolutely going to stick and has nothing to do with mind control or a simulation or something weird like that. But very much akin to that moment there, or like Attack on Titan Junior High also comes to mind.
Okay, I was about to say I've actually seen the final episode of that first series or volume of Evangelion.
Nice.
So I was actually keeping up with your Japanese culture references there, Ian, but then you had to shift to Attack on Titan Junior High, and you left me in the dust again.
Well, there's countless moments of these in the world of anime, where all of a sudden you completely shift to an entirely different setting, entirely different topic, and then you're back to where you belong. So that seems to be what we're doing here with Atomic Robo.
I don't think I have anything else in IDW to mention.
Okay. Then I'll just mention quickly, for those of you who like very large things, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 35th Anniversary box set. It would look great on a shelf, but I'd be afraid to open it. Just from the dimensions of it and how pretty it is. I'd be worried I'd somehow damage it every time I touch it.
Yeah.
But it's...
Yeah. That's one reason why I tend to avoid hardcovers.
Exactly. Well, this one is it's a box set that includes Mirage Publishing's TMNT 1 through 4 and the Raphael Micro Series at their original 8 3/8 by 10 7/8 dimensions. So that's, again, it's weird enough where I cannot see myself buying this because I'd just be worried of damaging it immediately.
Yeah, about how big is this box set actually going to be?
I don't even think it's that big. I just think it's more the dimensions than anything else. Like, I don't know if it would fit on my shelf. I don't know if it because every single time I'd be going to read it, I'd be worried that I'm going to damage something that runs for $50, and it's all individual things. Whenever it's a slipcase scenario, I usually avoid it, and that seems to be what they're doing here.
It is something that they do quite a bit of at IDW.
Yep. All right. On that note, I believe I'm done with IDW.
All right.
Marvel.
And now we can move on to Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord love Chris. I love his energy and enthusiasm. His love for Marvel and their product is infectious, but we will get done with this catalog in half the time. Without him guiding us along.
Well, I need to go straight to, and of course they're Marvel, so they're wonderful with their pages, but it's one of the first ones. Savage Avengers #1.
The very first thing.
The very first
1
thing.
through 2. Yeah, 1 and 2.
Writer Jerry Duggan, art by Mike Deodato. The reason I bring this up is because there was a recent article that said that Mike Deodato, after all these years of working for Marvel, has reached the end of his run. Mike Deodato is moving on to independent projects and who knows what else. But he said he's no longer going to be working for Marvel, at least for the time being. So this solicited as Savage Avengers #1. I'm not sure how many issues of this series he's going to be on before that's done with, but it will be one of the last Mike Deodato Marvel projects you see for quite some time from the looks of things.
That is kind of surprising.
Yeah. But the cast looks cool.
Yeah, it's... Well, Conan the Barbarian actually interacting with other Marvel characters, that's noteworthy enough in itself.
Yeah, it is. And
throwing him in there, though, with Wolverine, the Punisher, Venom, and Elektra, and they're kind of burying this one, but it looks like Dr. Voodoo is in there as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How about that?
And all of this with Mike Deodato art. I mean, it's very, very, very 90s.
Yes, it is.
Overall impression I'm getting here.
And the David Finch cover just adds to that even further, mimicking the New Avengers #1 from years prior.
Oh, yes, I see.
Yep.
So, do we know if this is going to be a miniseries or an ongoing or what?
They don't really seem to indicate. So I'm going to guess ongoing. But with Marvel is oftentimes not very good at saying that. And sometimes it's a quote-unquote stealth miniseries where they don't actually say it's going to end, and then suddenly issue 6 comes and it's over. But there is no of 6 listed or of 12, so I guess it's an ongoing for now.
Yep, it's an ongoing unless sales tell us otherwise.
Exactly.
And what follows is many pages of War of the Realms tie-ins.
Yep.
Which I am... from which I am excusing myself.
Yeah. I see War of the Realms Strike Force, the Dark Elf Realm, has Lionel Francis Yu art, so that makes me interested, but I will probably skip it unless it's on Marvel Unlimited in a few months, which it will be, which is the case with most of these. So yeah, I'm waiting.
Let's see, we've got Greg Pak writing a new Agents of Atlas miniseries. Yeah, I might be too if it involved more 50s Avengers characters. I see Jimmy Woo is there.
Yes.
But I think that's just about the only one of the original Agents of Atlas that's involved.
Where's Gorilla Man? Come on.
Yeah, for real. I mean, there is a big hairy thing there, but it's definitely not Ken Hale.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Well, it's it still has me interested, so maybe it'll catch my my eye, or if not, I'm just gonna wait because
Page 21, there's a Giant Man miniseries, which involves a team up of several different size changing characters. Which is interesting idea, and if it weren't embedded deep in the dark heart of the War of the Realms, I would definitely pick it up.
Yeah, well, the writer I'm not familiar with, Leah Williams. So that I'm not sure if this is her first Marvel work or if she's been working for them somewhat recently, but new name to Marvel. Let's see here. Thor #13, of course, tied in with War of the Realms because it's Jason Aaron on Thor, but getting closer and closer to the end of Jason Aaron's tenure on Thor, and wonder who they're going to get to follow up. That's going to be one hell of shoes to fill, to say the least.
Tough act to follow, that guy.
Very much so.
Hope he gets back to writing some Southern Bastards as soon as he's extricated himself from Asgard.
Hear, hear. Looks like the Champions issue 5 on page 25 is going to involve Cyclops, considering young Cyclops was a member of the team until he went back to his proper era. This will be the first time they're interacting with old Cyclops, and makes me wonder whether or not he remembers anything from that time, because I know that they very much distanced the older from the newer, but maybe that changed when they went back to where they belonged.
Now, that is a question that Jim Zub will answer for us, doubtless with a great deal of input from his editorial handlers.
Clearly the case. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Gail Simone writing Iron Man.
Say what now?
Gail Simone writing Iron Man. Tony Stark Iron Man #12. Writer Gail Simone, artist Paolo Villanelli. It is a War of Realms tie-in, but it is written by Gail Simone.
Okay, that explains how I overlooked it, because I just flipped right past all those War of the Realms pages.
Yep.
Huh.
However,
do you suppose she's a guest writer just filling in for Dan Slott to give him a breather, or do you think she might be the new ongoing writer?
I believe it's a fill-in, just because I did see her mention this on Twitter at one point, so I'm thinking this is just for War of the Realms. However, the image is of Iron Man facing a dragon. So, and if you wanted to get me interested in a War of the Realms tie-in, that's how you're going to do it.
It makes perfect sense, too. You know, knight in shining armor. It also kind of feeds into Tony Stark's King Arthur complex.
Yep.
He's taken one or two trips back to medieval times, and he's fighting a dragon has probably been on his bucket list for a long time now.
Well, now I just have this image of Tony Stark eating it in medieval times, which is a very different image.
Yes, that's the theme restaurant, right?
Yeah. I just see him in his full armor eating with his hands.
You'd have to take off the armored gauntlets.
Yeah, right. Oh, I see they're doing Marvel Tales Iron Man #1 with looks like, or it might just be reprints, but I do see John Romita Jr.'s name involved, so it may just be reprints of that. But Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Robert Bernstein, Bob Layton, and David Michelini are listed as writers, with Don Heck and John Romita Jr. as artists, and a cover by Jen Bartel.
Yeah, I think it's just reprints. One of the things being reprinted is Iron Man #150.
Ah, there we go. Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
That's nice that they're doing these oversized reprints. They're doing that for Avengers as well.
Yeah, whatever they can do to keep the classic material in circulation.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
And then they have individual issues because as they continue their Marvel's Greatest Creators for $1 a piece, including one of my favorite issues, the Wedding of Rick Jones.
Oh yes, I think I had just begun reading comics when that was. That might have been the first issue of Incredible Hulk I ever bought. Come to think of it.
Wow.
Or no, it can't be. It was the first one I ever bought was it had a hollow foil stamped cover and it involved the death of the leader, I think. So then it was probably about a year or two before the wedding.
Got it.
It was probably part of the first year's worth of Hulk comics that I bought anyway.
Yeah, it was right around the time that I first started, definitely. But that was during the time of Smart Hulk, and Rick Jones was very much a prominent character during the run, and art by Gary Frank.
Oh yes. Okay, you know what? The first issue of the foil stamped thing I was just talking about was number 400. So this was part of the first 2 years of Hulk comics that I bought.
Yeah.
I read the thing. That's the important takeaway here.
Exactly. Close enough.
Yes. And I do remember Rick and Marlowe and their relationship being important. Yeah. Actually, I think Marlowe had been brain dead for a little while there, but Rick somehow managed to get through to her, and she made a full recovery, and the wedding happened very shortly after that.
As I always like to say, she got better.
As people in comics will.
Yep. And yeah, the what they're reprinting is interesting. We've got the Origin of Mantis. We've got Invaders #1, the first appearance of Colleen Wing, and the first appearance of Misty Knight in the pages of Iron Fist, and we've got first appearance of Luke Cage, Power Man as well. Well, not the first appearance. Sorry, issue 30 of that one. They made that a little harder to understand there, but yeah, good stuff either way.
Certainly.
Mm-hmm. And they're reprinting Spider-Girl #1. That's an interesting one to reprint, because I don't think they're doing much with Spider-Girl outside of her appearances in like Web Warriors and Spider-Geddon. But they are reprinting What If Spider-Girl #1.
Wonder if there's a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse in the works that would involve May Riley.
That's a possibility.
Well, Mayday Parker, I mean.
Yeah. No, that's a possibility, although they did actually and maybe this has something to do with it, they just announced that they're going to be doing an animated series for Disney Plus about What If. Yeah, where they're going to be telling What If stories, I guess, in each episode. Interesting
way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're working in another medium where there's probably not mainstream continuity from which to deviate.
Right.
I mean, what are these What If stories supposed to be alternatives to?
Good question. I'm wondering if they're going to go Marvel Cinematic What Ifs, or if they're just going to do, more familiar What Ifs that we might be familiar with otherwise, like Death of Gwen Stacy and what have you. They do Cosmic Spider-Man, I will be very happy.
Oh, yeah. As would I. I'm always up for cosmic almost anything, but Cosmic Spidey, certainly.
Yep.
I'm all the way up at page 69 at this point. We've got yet another installment in the ongoing drama of Ed Piskor's X-Men Grand Design.
Nice.
Another 2-issue miniseries written and drawn by Mr. Piskor. It's his own illustrated personal history of X-Men comics. This time covering a period in, looks like the mid to late 80s. The Mutant Massacre, the Fall of the Mutants, It's all in there.
Nicely done.
Yep, 48 pages, $5.99. It's excellent stuff.
I see Clea returns to the pages of Doctor Strange on on page 59. Mark Waid and Barry Kitson. That's all I need to hear.
Yep. The return of Clea wouldn't be all that interesting to me if not for the creative team involved.
Yep. Yeah,
and Galactus is in there too.
Oh, well, there we go.
Galactus.
Well played.
Yeah, at this point, it's just kind of expected.
Yep. Spider-Man and Ms. Marvel will be teaming up in Marvel Team Up number 2. Page 65, and I think that's it for singles for me. Looking through to see if we have any trades. But X-Men is very much in the middle of Age of X-Men. There are so many crossovers happening at once right now at Marvel, where looking through previews is very easy because you're either interested in it or you're just going to go past it and, wait for the next thing to happen.
Right, just give yourself a hall pass from whatever's going on that doesn't interest you. That does give me space in my budget, though, for these Greg Pak written Star Wars one-shots that Chris was talking about. I'm going to buy all of them.
There we go. And they're doing True Believer reprints for Star Wars as well, from the looks of things.
All right. Nice and affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. If Chris had more time, I'm sure he would have shouted out on page 103 the Marvel Horror Omnibus hardcover. With its Nikantu the Living Mummy cover.
Very
Complete
nice.
1970s adventures of Simon Garth the Zombie, Brother Voodoo, the Living Mummy, It the Living Colossus, the Golem, Gabriel the Devil Hunter, the Scarecrow, not that Scarecrow, and Modred the Mystic. Including some guest appearances by Werewolf by Night, Doctor Strange, The Avengers, and more. Read it if you dare. Maybe I will dare. Maybe I will.
Maybe.
Although it is $150 cover price. If you order through dcbservice.com, of course, it would be automatically discounted to $75.
Which is a good thing, very much.
Every day.
Yes. Every day. Page 104, it's not going to be available until September 2019, but Chris probably would have also mentioned this as well. Timely's Greatest, the Golden Age Submariner.
He actually did mention.
Oh, he did? Okay, sorry. There was such a bevy of information being thrown there that I got lost in it. But yeah, that's
Anschluss of Eberlean enthusiasm.
Very much so. But that's another $150 collection there. So you're either going to get it or you're not. And Marvel's poster book on the next page, since he brought up the pinups that IDW was collecting. This is along the same lines, only with Alex Ross art.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, they're collecting Spider-Man by John Byrne. Okay.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, that was not the best era.
Nope. Neither for Spider-Man nor for Byrne.
No, very much not. Although he was the first who tried to tie together Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus's origins, and that's been done a couple other times since.
Yes, including on the big screen.
Yes, and in some ways in the video game, but a little bit less loosely so. But yeah, I'm gonna pass on that.
Besides which, I probably already own about half of the things included in the collection.
Yep.
To my regret.
You can find the rest in dollar bins.
Easily.
Mm-hmm.
Page 115, we've got the latest in Marvel's series of Decades collections. Marvel in the 90s is apparently focusing on the X titles. So we've got selections from Excalibur, Wolverine, X-Factor, X-Men, Generation X, X-Man, the first issue, X-Man number 5, the first post-Age of Apocalypse issue. Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, Deadpool, and Cable. One issue of each. Seems a little scattershot.
Yeah. Well, at least we know that there will be jackets and there will be pouches. And that
jackets with pouches on them. Pouches with jackets in them.
Yes. And that weird headdress thing that Havoc used to have.
Yeah, because as you pointed out in our Captain's Marvel episode, those things were everywhere in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. John Romita Sr. Marvel Visionaries. We got, I forget, did you read Thanos Rising?
Oh, was that Jason Aaron written thing with his...
Yes.
Oh, it is. Sure enough, yes.
Yep.
I skimmed it anyway. I wasn't entirely happy with it.
Got it.
I get the feeling Jim Starlin wasn't entirely happy with it either, but that's only to be expected. He tends not to be happy with anything anybody else does with that character.
Oh, my. Do you see this on page 122, this Frank Miller homage cover for Dead Man Logan? Very much in the style of Ronin.
Yes.
Yeah. Declan Shelby doing his best Frank Miller.
Which is pretty good, it turns out.
Yes, it is. All right, and I think that's basically it from me for Marvel, unless you got anything else.
Well, on page 132, there's a Speedball trade.
Ha-ha!
Another thing that you could probably find pretty easily in the cheap bins, but it collects Speedball's first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 22, all 10 issues of his solo series with plenty of Steve Ditko artwork, and also a couple of random appearances from other places thrown in there. So it's basically all of the pre-New Warriors Speedball stuff in one volume.
And read it and never mention Penance ever.
That would suit me just fine.
Yeah. That was a running joke on my show back in the day. We would just randomly mention Penance just to and use as menacing a voice as we could. Penance.
Yes. Causes his fans the same pain as that spiky bondage armor he was forced to wear. Well, actually, the character wore it voluntarily, but in story he wore it voluntarily. Extra textually, it was kind of forced on him by creators.
Yep.
But you know what I mean. It's not the best thing to come out of Civil War.
Nope. And we got the Epic Collections for Amazing Spider-Man: The Goblin Lives, which is collects Amazing Spider-Man 53 to 67, Spectacular Spider-Man issues 1 and 2, Marvel Superheroes number 14, and Not Brand Ech number 6 and 11.
Kind of an unusual. Not Brand Ech being a Marvel kind of in-house self-parody magazine of the Silver Age. It's unusual to see that included in a collection like this, but sure.
Yeah, why not? Oh boy, the Fantastic Four Epic Collection on 139. That is still one of the weirdest designs for the Thing ever.
All right, the spiky secondary mutation, shall we call it? Look.
Yep. Was not that big a fan of that one.
Yeah, neither was I. I remember picking, when I was fairly early in my time as a collector, I found a couple of back issues featuring the Thing in that form, and
didn't
know what the heck was going on.
It was back when the artist formerly known as Ms. Marvel was running around as what was it, Chi Thing?
Right, Sharon Ventura.
Yep. Whoa. They're collecting the Adventures of Spider-Man based on the 90s animated series. Wow. Talk about something that I completely forgot existed and I never really expected them to collect. But here it is in one giant tray paperback. 1 through 6 of Adventures of Spider-Man and Adventures of X-Men number 3, which must be a crossover between the two animateds.
Must be. 90s nostalgia is kicking in all over.
Yes, it is. And that's really it for Marvel for me, because I just reached the end of the catalog.
Right. Okay. All right. Further, higher, faster.
Yes.
On to Dynamite.
Dynamite.
And the first thing they're showing us here is Red Sonja and Vampirella meet Betty and Veronica. Another unexpected mashup. Creative team Amy Chu and Maria Sanapo. First issue is 50% off at dcbservice.com. How on earth are they ever going to bring those characters together in one story?
How on earth did they bring Punisher and Archie together?
They found a way. I know I have those issues somewhere in my to-be-read pile, but I have not yet experienced them. But I could think of ways they could bring Red Sonja and Betty and Veronica together, how they could bring Vampirella to Riverdale, but all three of them at one time?
Yeah.
It's kind of a juggling act.
It's going to be hard, yeah. But Amy Chu is a name I'm familiar with, so we'll see what she has to offer.
Yeah, I think that's about the only new interesting thing I have to talk about under Dynamite.
Okay. Because of all the Chris stuff, there was something in IDW that I had that if I can re-find, I will find, but continue to move on because there was a Clue comic.
Oh yes,
premiering that I meant to mention that we skipped through. So let me see if I can find it yet again on my collection here.
Page 169.
There we go. Okay, great. Now, Clue the movie is a gem and a delight. And whenever it's on, I have to sit down and watch it, or else I will have flames on the side of my face. And I'm glad that there's a comic that's going to appreciate the joys of Clue, just as that movie does from the looks of it. I think Dash Shaw is the writer and artist, and I think that if anyone's going to bring that to fruition, it's going to be him. The art looks very eclectic, but I think that's going to work for it. It wouldn't surprise me if it does. And Clue Candlestick Numero Uno. I will be probably checking that out digitally, and I hope it's good because it certainly looks entertaining.
Yeah, I've never seen the Clue movie all the way through.
Ooh.
But I have seen a stage adaptation of Sane. My high school.
Oh, wow.
Did it this past fall. The guy who directs the drama club also does. He runs the theater troupe that did my Little Shop of Horrors,
Nice.
in which I played the sadistic dentist a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So for his sake, I went to see it, and it was entertaining enough, given that teenagers were performing it.
Well, the movie has some of my favorite Tim Curry.
Also, some pretty quality Madeline Kahn and Christopher Lloyd, I think.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Yes, indeed. All right. Looking at the rest here from that, moving back down to where we were for Dynamite. And Dare to be Nostalgic? Huh. Let's see. Sweet Valley High. Academic All-Star. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think being nostalgic is kind of the exact opposite of being daring, but
that's why it dragged my interest. I'm like, what exactly are they trying to say here? But Academic All-Star with a question mark at the end. Art looks cool, but I don't think Sweet Valley High is exactly my forte.
Yes. Was never a frequent library selection for me either.
Yeah. I see issue 5 of Pete Cannon Thunderbolt coming out this month with writer Kieran Gillen. Always good stuff. Page 203. Other than the omnibuy of Boys of the Boys coming out, which would be volume 2 on page 208. In further anticipation of the Amazon series coming soon.
Yeah, just noticed their little dare to blank taglines at the top of just about every single page of the Dynamite section.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of languidly aping the CW's recent slogan, Dare to Defy, over and over again.
Great. Now I have that frickin' jingle stuck in my head.
Dare to defy.
Yeah, right.
Dare to plagiarize.
Yeah, right.
Be added in there.
Let's see. Collection of James Bond Origin Volume 1, the hardcover on page 210, written by Jeff Parker and art by Bob Q, with a cover by John Cassaday. So this is going to collect the first volume of that origin story for James Bond.
Mm-hmm. Which Chris has praised several times.
Mm-hmm. I think I can move on to another publisher at this point.
Oh, yes, by all means, let's.
All right.
Let's see. So next up would be Boom Studios.
Boom shakalaka.
Page 222, they've got an original graphic novel in hardcover, no less, which is the first graphic novel to be set in the world of the magicians, as seen in both Lev Grossman's novels and on the TV series of the same name on the Sci-Fi Channel.
I might check it out.
It's called Alice's Story, and it is 50% off at tcbservice.com.
And on the page before that, the first softcover collection of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Volume 1, the reboot, the ultimate version, if you will, of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that Boom has been putting out, with Jordi Belair on writing and Dan Mora on art. Ben 10, for science! I just felt like yelling for science.
Yeah. For science, but not for me.
Nope. The Steven Universe All-in-One Edition hardcover might be for me, if the price is right. And it's regular price of $74.99, so I don't think that's going to be for me quite yet, but maybe once it's on sale.
I don't think you're going to get quite the size discount from DCBS that you might hope for.
No, probably not.
Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure I own most of the single issues that are collected here already, so...
Yep, I'm going to see what the actual price on that is. And yeah, at $48.74 is the discount. So 35% discount, which is not bad.
Yeah. Still generous, just not quite as generous as the 50% or that they give you on some other things.
Exactly. Issue 2 of Faithless by Brian Azzarello. Okay, here's something. On page 234, they have a softcover collection of Grass Kings, which was Eisner Award nominated in 2018 as Best New Series. This is written by Matt Kint and illustrated by Tyler Jenkins. And this collects the first 6 issues of the series. The Grass Kingdom is run by middle brother Robert, who has been grief-stricken since losing his daughter years ago. When a mysterious young woman flees to their community in search of safety, Robert takes her in.
Set in a self-sufficient trailer park kingdom, a fiefdom of the hopeless and lost seeking a promised land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I bought the first issue of this, but I don't think I even opened it in receiving it.
Well, it's a good way to start reading it, definitely.
Well, to open it? Yeah.
Yeah, right? What a concept.
Yeah, well, whenever I get around to actually opening and subsequently reading the first issue, it's nice to know there's going to be a trade out there in case I want to read some more.
Yep. I know some people who will probably be interested in WWE The Phenomenal One on page 235. I don't know if I would be one of them anymore, but I used to be into wrestling back in the day.
Yeah, I've never been a wrestling fan in any way, shape, or form.
Male soap operas at their best.
It's only too true.
Mm-hmm. Got a new edition of Jim Henson's Tale of Sand on page 236.
Right. Illustrated by Ramon Perez.
Mm-hmm.
I remember how excited I was when this was first solicited. It's got to be about 10 years ago now.
Oh, boy. New Lumberjanes miniseries, it looks like, on page 238. Lumberjanes Somewhere That's Green, number 1. When Joe, April, Mal, Molly, and Ripley stumble upon several muddy, spiky cactus kittens, that's the thing, in the woods, they take on the sacred mission of bringing the kittens back to their home. That sounds like a Lumberjane story to me.
Wow. Didn't realize there were such strong elements of fantasy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, Lumberjanes essentially started out as sort of like a fantasy summer camp setting, and they've moved even further into the realm of fantasy as it's moved forward.
Okay, yeah, the summer camp angle I knew about. The fantasy part I did not.
Yep.
That makes it. I'm sure I've got a Lumberjanes trade at home someplace. This is something that Danielle Corsetto recommends highly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep. Had many different creators over the years, but the quality remains consistent.
I am immediately 100% more interested in it than I had been. And I was more than 0 interest units interested in it.
Well, there you go.
Anything else from Boom?
I think that's it. I'm just flipping through the last few pages here. Issue 2 of That Rocker's Modern Life I talked about last month, and that's about it. Yep. That's it with Boom.
All right. So that means we're prepared to strike out into the rest of the book.
Bum, bum, bum.
All right. And right off the starting gate on page 251 is something that Chris has already talked about, so we don't need to give it too much more attention. But Terry Moore's 5 Years, which is a super group jam kind of book, bringing together a whole bunch of Terry Moore's characters in a single story.
Yep.
So that's fairly exciting.
It's almost like the manga, and I believe it was also an anime. It was called Tsubasa, which brought together a whole bunch of different anime universes and anime characters into one team book. Also brings to mind Exiles, of course.
Up ahead at Aftershock on page 258. Somewhat predictably, I am drawn to the series entitled Killer Groove. It's a tale of violent crime and cutting-edge music in 1970s Los Angeles.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's not a creative team that I know. Ollie Masters and Owen Maron. But it's the concept that's selling me here.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Ollie Masters' work includes another 70s crime comic called The Kitchen, which came out through Vertigo.
Yeah, and Ewan Marin has worked on Army of Darkness before and James Bond. So, okay.
Yep. I'm in.
Yeah, right? The preview pages look pretty cool. We've got Descendant #1 on page 260. The cover, very much striking. Like, it's got some voodoo, almost like Doctor Strange-esque stuff going on that cover.
Yep, I can see that.
Yep. Conspiracy theories, government corruption, and a really good mix of prints drives David Corey to help solve the mysterious disappearance of a famous politician's son. So it looks like very conspiracy theory-esque and Illuminati out the wazoo.
Oh, yes. Little triangles with eyeballs on them. That's the giveaway.
Yep. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. We got on page 266, the first trade for Paul Jenkins' Beyonders. I've not heard the name Paul Jenkins in a while. So I'm immediately interested in any of his work because I was a huge fan of his back in the 2000s, and here he is with an original property with art by Wesley St. Clair, collecting the first volume of Beyonders.
All right. For a while there, Jenkins was he was a member of the stable of creators at Boom. I guess Aftershock must be his current home.
I guess so. And a little bit further on, we've got hashtag Danger #1 on page 268, written by Tom Peyer and Paul Constant, with art by Fred Harper and Chris Giarrusso. 3 scientific adventurers face strange creatures, as I choke on my own words, lost civilizations and supernatural threats when they're not too busy being complete jerks to each other. It's like if the Fantastic Four hated each other.
Yep, if they were... hate to say it, but the implication appears to be that they're obnoxious millennials.
Yep.
As seen through the eyes of Tom Peyer, who is definitely not a millennial.
Yes. But it is Tom Peyer, so I will probably give it a shot, as Ahoy is usually has my interest in things.
Yeah, they've put out a lot of strong new concepts over the last year or two. They've had a strong start. I hope they can keep it going.
Yep. Including the trade paperback of The Wrong Earth being solicited on that very same page.
Yep, featuring your and my pick for best new character, new hero of 2018.
Mm-hmm. Dragonfly and Dragonfly Man.
Yeah, my talking points are kind of few and far between. in this catalog as a whole, but certainly this is, as is true of the front of the book, so is also true of the back.
Yep.
On page 290, though, under Avatar Press, we've got the final issue of the Cinema Purgatorio anthology, which is going to be the last Alan Moore comic book writing we're going to be seeing for a while.
Oh boy.
Yep, it's by Moore and O'Neill, plus the final installments of some other strips that have been running in this anthology for a while, including Garth Ennis's Code Prue and Kieran Gillen's Modded.
Those are all strong names.
Yep. Also, see, Christos Engage has a thing called The Vast that has been running. So yeah, I've got every issue of this anthology. It is strong.
Scrolling back to page 274 for a minute, The Three Stooges Astronauts #1. Thrilling space adventures, astounding tales of international creatures, three complete morons lost in space.
Wow, main cover by Eric Shanower.
Yes, indeed.
Wow, that's not the kind of project on which I'd expect to see his art, but there it is, staring me in the face.
Yep. And who's the? I'm trying to see who the writer is on it. I don't know if I see a writer credit anywhere.
Written by S.A. Check.
There we go. I see that now. Yeah. Probably a pseudonym.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right.
Either that or a placeholder name until they hire somebody to actually write this thing for them.
Which also wouldn't surprise me.
Just the way they seem to work at American mythology.
Yeah, right. Ooh. Horror Comics #1 on page 281. It's a story by Bradley Golden, art by Andre Lunatic and Mickey Clausen. And this is straight horror here, just even looking at it. I mean, they have an old school style cover that's reminiscent of horror comics of old.
Very EC.
Yep, very much so. And the story itself looks like it's somebody who's making ice cream from the flesh of his murder victims.
Ooh, yeah.
Can't get more EC than that.
Yep. Undiluted gore.
Mm-hmm. Archie and Sabrina. Okay.
And it's written by Nick Spencer.
Yeah, that's man. Archie continues to bring the creators to the door. I mean, they've been getting some very, very good talent over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yep, giving us all kinds of fresh new takes on their long-standing 80 or so, well, 70 or 80-year-old characters.
Yep.
While at the same time keeping a lot of the classic stuff in print.
Mm-hmm.
There's Archie for every taste.
Yep, including Jughead the Hungerer versus Vampironica.
Boy, oh boy.
Frank Thierry, the writer on that.
Yeah, I just wish Francesco Francavilla could have kept to a regular schedule so we could have had more Afterlife with Archie.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with you on that. That was some really well done stuff. So it goes. That's comics for you.
And we're the only ones who know.
Mm-hmm. Aspen's got Fathom coming back. From the Depths They Rise, Fathom #1, 6-issue miniseries. Keeping that character alive. And it's slight rant. Michael Turner has been gone for a while now.
So he has.
So he has, and I I feel like I keep seeing the same art recycled for projects, and I'm sure these are sketches he made back in the day, but it's just it's almost starting to rub me the wrong way at this point. Like they're exploiting him, but I know it's his old company.
Yeah, so if anybody's going to exploit him, it had better be Aspen.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I can see where you would feel it's a little disrespectful at this point.
Yeah. It was lost way too soon. All right. While you continue to scroll, I will look for some manga.
Yeah. I've scrolled my way all the way up to the Oni section, actually.
All right.
As on page 358, we find we've come to the 50th issue of the ongoing Rick and Morty comic.
Oh, wow.
They're celebrating with Morty's Mind Blowers. Featuring an array of creators who have contributed to the previous 49 issues.
Oh, man. It's hard to believe it's been going long enough to be at 50 already.
Yeah, really.
Which says how long it is between seasons.
On page 374, this is under a publisher called Source Point Press. The comic is called Sham Comics, and it's basically a guy who takes old public domain comics and recaptions them, redialogues them for humor.
Outstanding. That's a good use of public domain right there.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Tim Fuller, who is the creator, but depending on how strong a sense of humor he has, this could be hilarious. I think I'm going to give the first issue a try.
Yeah, definitely. Huh.
All right.
Okay.
And the monthly shout out to Tomorrow's Publishing, of course. Page 385, we've got issue number 159 of Alter Ego magazine. And they're spotlighting Peter Cannon Thunderbolt, whose creator, Pete Morisi, is apparently still with us and is discussing his character, who is now appearing in that Dynamite Entertainment series that you mentioned, Ian, written by Kieran Gillen.
Very good.
And Back Issue Magazine is giving us a 30th anniversary retrospective on Batman the movie.
All right.
So a couple of good reads there. All right, and now it's time for our 5 minutes of manga. Ian, go.
Well, but before we do, I apologize. I found something on page 334, mainly for the creator. Kevin Eastman's got a new book.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Drawing Blood, Spilled Ink #1. And it looks like he is also doing the art for this, along with various others. His first return to independent comics outside of TMNT for quite some time. And it's about one successful cartoonist who's on the skids. And I think that actually sounds pretty much in Kevin Eastman's wheelhouse. I mean, I don't know if it's partly autobiographical or if he's just going to be, drawing from experience, but certainly seems to be right in his wheelhouse. So
yeah, I think there's every possibility that this is autobiographical.
Yeah,
I mean, just look at the indie comic that his main character creates. Radically rearranged Ronin ragdoll.
I just saw that as you were saying it. Yep. That is outstanding. Job well done on that one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty therapeutic for Kevin Eastman, and hopefully it'll help his cash flow issues as well.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm sure that TMNT Batman movie, I'm sure he's going to get plenty of royalties out of that. So here's hoping.
Oh, yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yep. All right. So now to find a manga that actually has a volume 1 premiering this month, because the one I found is already up to volume 3. So while I do that, let me get.
Believe it or not, I've actually got a volume 1 manga I can mention.
Go right ahead, sir.
On page 442, My Little Pony, the manga, A Day in the Life of Equestria.
Nice.
Yes. Written by David Lumsden, art and cover by an artist named Shie.
Okay.
Might be a studio named Shie, I'm not sure. But in any event, it's My Little Pony manga-style comics. And I'm probably going to try it.
Wow.
Enough said.
Yeah, enough said. That okay? Why not? So I had no. I mean, okay, I knew they were back, but I had no idea that Tokyo Pop, a company that was all rights in like gone, like they were barely publishing anything. Now they have the rights to Disney comics, and I'm not sure if these are if these are Japanese creators that are doing it, or whether or not these are quote unquote Amerimanga, because Tokyo Pop was well known for that back in the day. But they have multiple Disney properties, including Disney Descendants, Dizzy's New Fortune, on here. The story is by Jason Mule, so that's definitely a non-Japanese creator. But the art is by Natsuki Minami, and that's on page 412. Then they've got Disney Kiwawa Princess issue number 1, story by Mallory Reeves with art by either Sa or Sa'a. Following that on page 414. So back from the dead, Tokyo Pop. Good or a bad thing? I guess we're about to find out. But they were gone for quite some time and didn't exactly leave on good terms in the comic book industry. But they're back, so all right.
Seem to have set themselves up as kind of an international Disney pipeline here, but
yeah.
In fairness, they do have some other non-Disney things on offer this month as well.
Yes, they do. Yep. Let's see. Going down to Viz, we got volume 16 of One Punch Man on page 422. One Punch Man continues to be One Punch Man, and it makes me happy, so I got to mention it. And season 2 has officially been announced for Japan, and it's coming soon. I'm looking forward to that. Easily be on Crunchyroll not too soon afterwards. So let's go with that already.
Yep.
And try to find at least one more volume on here. Yokai Watch, volume 11, on page 426. Are you familiar at all with Yokai Watch?
Well, I recognize it as a brand.
Yeah,
and I know it's for younger readers than we are.
Oh yeah, but very much so. It's essentially, I'll just straight up say it. It's Pokemon.
It sure seems that way.
Yeah. It's akin to Pokemon and Digimon. Only it's another brand attempting to do that. There are a bunch of video games available. Some have done well here in the States. Others have not. And this is the manga that has spawned out of it. The games are supposed to be pretty good. I don't know if the manga's any good, but I'll at least mention it for anybody who's interested, because they are offering again volumes 1 through 10 along with volume 11 here in this month's previews on page 426. And my final one, I think, Wolf Children, Ame and Yuki. Because this actually looks like gorgeous art.
Okay, page 428.
428. Mamoru Hosoda, internationally acclaimed animator and director, whose latest film, Mirai, was just nominated for an Oscar. They're putting out his book, Wolf Children, Ame and Yuki. And when Hana falls in love with a young interloper she encounters in her college class, the last thing she expects to learn is that he is part wolf. Instead of rejecting her love upon learning his secret, she accepts him with open arms. Soon the couple is expecting their first child, and a cozy picture of family life unfolds. So it's fantasy, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I immediately think of Fables when it comes to, a woman mating with a wolf.
Oh, yeah, good catch.
Yeah.
And my first thought was Inuyasha. It's probably just because we're talking about Japanese output.
Yeah, no, that's another good call. Yeah, but there we go with some manga picks. And if you want something a little bit lighter, try Happy Sugar Life, because it's called Happy Sugar Life on page 430. And I think my bolt is officially shot after that, unless you got anything else.
Well, actually, for once, I have something in the back of the book to talk about, or to mention anyway.
Haha.
Just on our way out, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So flipping the book over to page 37, DC Comics figurines from Jim Shore. And I mention these things mainly because we sell Jim Shore items here at Murdo's Christmas Barn.
Ah.
And it's been actually a very good line for us. He does lots of Santa Clauses and snowmen and things like that, all in his trademark sort of geometric crazy quilt pattern motif. And now he's applied that to a few legendary DC superheroes. We've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and Aquaman. Every non-Martian founding member of the League is represented here. And also, it's not solicited here in the catalog, but I happen to know that these are also available in a slightly smaller size with little string hangers coming out of their heads to be used as Christmas ornaments.
Very nice.
Yeah, I wish I could say that we were carrying them, but I could not talk the bosses into bringing them in. They would have retailed for about $25, and we just thought that was more than our customers would be willing to pay for a superhero ornament. But they look so darn nice.
Nuts.
I would like them on my tree right now.
Well, maybe if you're nice enough at Christmas, who knows? Little fairy will drop it at your door or something.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the fairy would have to order a case pack of each, though. So
that is fair. Yeah. A couple of things I'll mention since we're at the back of the book. There's a Bruce Lee select yellow jumpsuit action figure being solicited on page 17. It's actually a pretty good likeness. Action figures have been getting more and more close to actual real people over the years, and this is a decent likeness with some good articulation to it. So you can put Bruce Lee into whatever pose you want him to put him into. And on the very next page, there's a Gallery Chapter 1 diorama for John Wick. And I love me some John Wick.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about John Wick. Is it as absurd as I think it is?
Oh, it is.
Just unabashed action movie nonsense?
In all the right ways, though. Some of the best stunt work I've ever seen, because the director is a former stuntman. And I believe he used to be a stuntman for Keanu himself, and that's how Keanu got involved with it. But it's the world, like the underground world they weave of assassins is so ridiculous and yet at the same time so intriguing that I can't get enough of John Wick. I really can't. So I think it may be up your alley. It's just, it is gory. It is very gory at times. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I'll warn you about. Yeah, okay. Thank you for that warning. That is actually usually a turnoff. Yeah, but... spoil one thing for me, though. Yes. Does his dog survive? Okay. Spoilers for the first movie, no. However, at the end of the first movie, he does get a new dog. That dog does survive the second movie. His intention... Essentially, the entire rampage he goes on in the first movie is because somebody killed his dog. Right. I did know that. Yeah. Well, I knew that they'd taken his dog. I didn't know that they'd actually killed it. Yeah. No, it was not pretty. And one thing I will say, though, is that like the actual gore is artfully done in a lot of cases. It's almost like a dance the way he gets rid of people. Mm. So you got to be in the right mood for it, but it's. To say the least. Yeah, but it's really good stuff, and it's easily one of my favorite stupid watches. Oh my God! What is this on page 30? Did you see this Batman thing? This Artist Alley Batman by James Groman? I did see these, and they are grotesque. What the heck? Yeah, that's maybe a little too much creative license. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, who exactly is the... Who's going to buy these? Who's the intended customer? I cannot say. If you are, more power to you. It's just, all right. Okay, and then now I think my bolt is shot because I'm looking at the rest of this and this is just all standard toys. So I think we're good. My bolt will be shot with one more fire. Mm-hmm. In amongst all the Funko pages, page 61, they've got Cap'n Crunch and the Crunchberry Beast vinyl figurines. Yes. There's not enough Crunchberry Beast content in modern culture. I'll give you that. You need to get that image back out there. I'm a fan. Well, I'm just a fan of old-timey cereal mascots in general, but that's one that's fallen between the cracks, and that is unjust. Did you see the DC Primal Age action figures on page 49, by the way?
Did I?
Because
no, yes, I did. I did.
Yeah.
I kind of fixated on the Bizarro.
Yeah, that's why I figured it'd be right up your alley.
Why do so many of these people have spiked maces for hands?
Why wouldn't you? Why not?
I have no answer to that.
Well then, sir, my job is done.
All right. Well struck.
And Colonel Sanders, by the way, Colonel Sanders on page 52. There's a Colonel Sanders pop that exists.
That is terrific. Oh, terrific! And on page 60, there are We Bear Bears pop figurines.
Oh, you! Why'd you tell me that? Oh, God damn it! I own too many already.
See, that is why I told you that.
You bastard! All right. We're good. Bolt shot. We're done.
Yes.
All right, sir. Remind folks who our sponsor is.
Oh, with pleasure. Our sponsor for this and every previews episode of Comic Geek Speak is Discount Comic Book Service. Visit their site at dcbservice.com to find out how they can help you take care of all of your comic book pre-ordering needs. Take advantage of their discounts, their bundles, their fine customer service. They're good people. They deserve your business. And you deserve what they have to offer you.
Hear.
All right, ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right. If you'd like to send us an email, you can send it to comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd prefer to leave a voicemail, you can call 267-702-6642. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @comicgeekspeak. You can visit our forum at thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com to leave feedback on this and many other episodes of our podcast. Let us know what interests you in this month's previews. React also to our selections for the Comic Geek Speak Best of 2018 Awards, which are actually also your selection since you voted to make them so, and we thank you once again for participating in that. It makes for a fun episode every year. We'd like to thank those of you who have donated monetarily to the show in the past. We really appreciate it. The show would not be what it is today without your support. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
Marathon over.